So ADA currently finds itself in a nice position despite getting rejected at both EMA levels. And reason being is because we are finding support at a key level. So very quickly, if I map this level out, it's around 73 cents. So if I go back in time, what you can see is previously we ended up finding support at this level before we saw a move to the upside, such as over here where we tapped into this region. And most recently, we found support at this level before seeing a continuation to the upside where we ended up reaching this local top at around 93 cents. And so I am looking at for something similar, given that I am tracking a 5-wave structure within this 5th wave, where I'm looking at for this 5th wave to tap into this region between $1 to $1.14. And I mentioned in my previous update how we had a 5-wave structure that formed over here. So if I go down to the hourly chart, and what you can see is we had a 5-wave move where we had a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in Elliott Wave Theory, whenever you have a 5-wave structure, that's usually what sets the trend. And so if you have a 5-wave structure to the upside, that means that you are on an uptrend. And if you have a 5-wave structure to the downside, that means you are on a downtrend. And so right now we have a 5-wave structure to the upside. So I am looking at for a continuation to the upside where we breach past this local top at around 76 cents. And of course, you can see that smart money concept is indicating that we have a strong high. And so if we were to breach past this level, that would then trigger a breaker structure, which would then further confirm that we are bullish. And from then on, it's just a case of determining if whether or not what we are forming is a WXY structure or a 5-wave move. And so there is a key region that we need to be keeping an eye on. And that region would be the 1 to 1.236 retracer level. So if I bring this to over here, and in fact, if I just make sure that this is in the right place, so here we reached 71.07 cents. And so that region sits between 78.96 cents to 80.94 cents. And so if ADA was to get rejected within this region, then that would then mean that what we had forming was a WXY structure. And we could then see a further push to the downside, where we could even breach past this local bottom. And that level sits at 68 cents. And in addition to that, that would then mean that we have a bigger WXY structure that's forming, where this structure here would form the W wave, and this move to the upside where we tap into this region here would form the X wave, and we see that final push to the downside to form the Y wave. And on a macro level, what that would then mean is that this WXY structure would then form the wave 2, and where we ended up completing this move to the upside where we topped off at around 93 cents. So essentially this wave 3 would have topped off over here, and the wave 4 would have bottomed out over here, and the wave 5 would have topped off over here at 93 cents, and that would then form the wave 1, like so, and then this WXY structure would then form the wave 2, and then in the next few weeks or the next couple of months, we'll see the wave 3, 4, and 5 play out, where ADA will then have the potential to reach the $2 mark. But I am still tracking a 5-wave structure where it looks like we are still within this 5th wave. And for that to happen, what we need is for ADA to extend beyond the 1.236 level and retrace towards the 1.618 level at 84.26 cents. And that would then trigger a 5-wave structure. So if I was to draw that in, this move to the upside would form the wave 1, and this move to the downside would form the wave 2. And then as a minimum requirement, the wave 3 would need to reach the 1.618 level. And then we see a wave 4 and 5 play out. And if I go down to the 5-minute chart, what I do is dissect what's taking place over here, because given that this wave 1 was made up of 5 waves, that means that this next move to the upside will also need to be made up of 5 waves. And so very quickly, if I zoom in, it looks like we had a wave 1, and we had this corrective move that played out to form the wave 2, and it looks like we're still within a wave 3. So short-term target for ADA would be the 1.618 level. So if I just remove this level here, and here we reached 71.97 cents, and here we reached 71.97 cents, and so we had a double bottom setup. So a short-term target for ADA would be this level here as a minimum requirement at 75.22 cents. And so if I go down to the 5-minute chart, essentially what I'm looking at for right now is for this move to the upside to be made up of a wave 1, and this move to the downside to be made up of a wave 2, and then we could still be within a wave 3, where that wave 3 as a minimum requirement would need to reach 75.23 cents, and then we see a wave 4 and a wave 5 play out. And if I zoom in to this wave 1, this wave 1 looks to be made up of 5 waves also, where we had a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this wave 2 would be made up of a double XR structure, where this would be the W wave, this would be the X wave, and this would be the Y wave. And we have this move here, which would have to be made up of 5 waves. So it's possible that this here is the wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and the wave 5. And for this structure to play out, this wave 3 as a minimum requirement would need to reach the 1.618 level. So if I bring in the Fib tool, and here you can see that the 1.618 level sits at 74.43 cents. And here we ended up reaching 74.47 cents. And so yeah, we ended up forming that wave 3, and a wave 4, and a wave 5. And this wave 5 typically reaches anywhere between 1.226 to 1.618 of the wave 4. And so here you can see that we ended up tapping into that region between 74.71 cents to 75.09 cents. And so yeah, I'm satisfied with this move to the upside. And it looks like this 5-wave structure actually formed the wave 1. And we had this WXY structure to form the wave 2. So again, if I bring in the Fib tool, and here we reached 74.62 cents. And the Y wave typically reaches anywhere between 1 to 1.226, and we've tapped into that region. And since then, we have seen that push to the upside, where we ended up reaching this local top at 73.87 cents. And you can see that a breaker structure was also triggered on Smart Money Concept, further confirming that we are on a bullish trend. And so it looks like we are now within a wave 3 to the upside. So if I just zoom out slightly and draw that out just so it's more clearer for you guys. So yeah, it looks like we are within this wave 3 here. And this wave 3 will also need to be made up of 5 waves, where this 5-wave structure would form the wave 1, like so, and then we have this WXY structure to form the wave 2, and then we see a wave 3, 4, and 5 play out to then form this wave 3, and then we see the wave 4 and 5 play out in the next couple of days, like so. And so short-term target would be the 75.23 cent level, and we could actually even extend beyond that level, given that I'm now looking at this wave 3 here. So what I'll do is I'll set up the next key target for ADA as a minimum requirement. So the next key target for ADA would be this level here at 78.13 cents to form this wave 3. And then we see the wave 4 and 5 play out, where this 5th wave could actually tap into this region here to form this bigger wave 3. And then we see a retracement to form the wave 4, followed by a final push to the upside to complete that 5th wave. And that would then form this bigger wave 3. So here you can see that ADA has the potential to extend beyond that typical region that I mentioned earlier on, which is this region here. And if it does so, then that could then trigger a 5-wave structure. And if that's the case, that could then mean that we are within this 5th wave, and that 5th wave would then have the potential to tap into this region. And so, yeah, this is going to be a key region in determining if whether or not we are bullish or bearish. Personally, I am leaning more towards us actually extending beyond this region. And we see that continuation to the upside, where we tap into this region, and then shortly after, we then see a bigger retracement to the downside. But of course, that's something I'm going to be tracking in the days and weeks to come, and I'll keep you guys updated. And so, yeah, hopefully you found this useful. And if you did, then feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.